As woodworkers, we're never really truly hobbyists. I think from the get-go, we realized that this can be a cost-prohibitive passion and hobby, and that's okay. So quickly we learned ways to supplement that by doing repair work, little trinkets, candle holders, cutting boards, and those become quickly revenue generators for us that help us buy new tools. In the beginning when I started, it was like every project I would buy a new tool, and I would use any profits from that project to buy something new that could help me grow my passion and my hobby. So really quickly we become businessmen whether we like it or not. And one of the ways that I found was the quickest of generating revenue was using modern technology. Away from the cameras, away from what you've seen of me online. We do tons of work in the background, and a lot of that is generated revenue through CNC. I own 4 CNC machines, 2 lasers, 2 routers, and they are workhorses for us, and every single one of them has paid for itself. So today I wanted to talk to you about generating revenue with modern tech and how really these are not expenses. These are investments that quickly pay for themselves. And I want to walk you through what it's done for my business and what it can do for yours, as well as give you some buying advice and just some general advice on how to go down this path. The biggest obstacle in making money for your woodworking hobby or business is trust. Selling small things requires a small amount of trust, but selling big commissions, dining tables, those kind of things require a lot of trust. And really the only way to build that is by starting with small trust. In fact, Mike Farrington did a great Made for Profit where he sort of laid out the Bible for a woodworking business, but his whole theme was how do you build trust? That's like doing small projects, repair work, base and case, fixing floors, fixing windows, those kind of things are all carpentry related and lead you to the opportunity to be able to sell your other work. Hey, check out this table I made, or check out this great piece of furniture I made. And then they know you're a woodworker. Clearly they own a home and have disposable income, and that's how you build trust and get those big commissions. Now CNC can do that for you as well. CNC, as soon as you buy one, you now have this machine that nobody else has access to. Sure, there's big machine shops, but they have all sorts of cost prohibitive minimums and those kind of things. But now you have the ability to customize wedding gifts, birthday gifts, make personalized placards for people's desks, whatever it may be. And these are the types of things that generated serious revenue for me when I first got a CNC and helped me recoup my investment very, very quickly. I was able to, let my friends know through social media or just telling everybody I ran into that I was a woodworker who had this ability. And suddenly those things just start pouring in, and people, sometimes telling people what a piece of furniture actually costs to make is shocking to them. But for some reason with CNC, it's not, because they understand it's this computer numerical control device that is something that they don't even know about. So suddenly those prices of $60 to $100 for a small sign seem reasonable. And so it's a great way to do very profitable work. And once you get very proficient at running it, it's like super simple to set up a sign. I mean, it's very, very quick. Or, just put in, most of these programs just have fonts that you can choose from. Hey, customer, pick a font, and then you just put their name in a gift box or something. I used to buy either basic wooden cutting boards off Amazon or wooden wine boxes. And those are great because you can put a couple who's getting married's last name and the date on it. And now that's something that sits in their kitchen forever. And of course people go, where did you get this? And it's like, oh, my buddy Jonathan made it. And then I get more and more calls. So CNC, especially when I was first getting started, it was like a shortcut to getting more business. It really made a difference, and it was super, super cool. Let's talk about what it does for me now. Now, of course, you're familiar with the dovetail alignment boards, and this new one, man, am I happy. So businesses, obviously, you want to grow, right? You grow or you die. And with this thing, now we've cut production on those dovetail alignment boards by 90%. I mean, it used to take 47 minutes to do 9 of them, and now we can do 43 of them in an hour and 7 minutes. And I have these tool paths that cut them out. My gosh, it's better. And growth is an important part about CNC. I think when I got my first CNC, I only had about 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers. So of course, a very unprofitable YouTube channel. I mean, it's really hard to make a profit when you're that size. And so I took tons of commissions, and CNC really changed that game for me, like I was saying before. But now that I've grown into more production work, obviously I have the 2 CNC lasers. We engrave the dovetail jigs and the stop blocks on the Best Cutter laser, which is a great machine. That thing runs about 40 hours a week. We just got the 10x5 that we do templates on for myself and other YouTubers, and we sell those in mass. And of course we flatten slabs, which is Oh man, flattening this was awesome. I modeled it in the computer. We used the spoils board design just to model on top of it. I took a picture, scaled it so the holes lined up, and then took me 3 minutes to model it. Also, we did this sign for the video that I wouldn't normally use plywood, but just to kind of show you how easy it is to knock that out. That really took me, 3 minutes to set up in V-Carve. So CNC really runs the behind the scenes of my business. Lots of the products that you guys buy from me, in fact, all of them pretty much go, except for the saws, go through the CNC. You don't really see it that often because, a lot of the content creation is centered around more hand tool and more hand driven woodworking, but without CNC, I certainly would not be where I am today in my business. And it is definitely what financed the YouTube channel. YouTube is a losing proposition for many, many years. And it's something you only do if you really love teaching and really love sharing, because it's a job you pay to do. So CNC was the biggest difference in my business. It was the biggest investment I ever made that really was like, oh man, this can really help finance everything else. So it was really cool. Now, let's talk about how I make those buying decisions when I get a CNC, and let's talk about why I chose this one. When it comes to buying advice, I would consider myself an expert. And when it comes to running them, I'm certainly proficient, but I'm not the best at that. But when it comes to buying them, I have done years of research after purchasing 4, which are all very large, well thought out decisions. I certainly know how to compare the specs of CNC and know based on what they say what that machine will be able to do. So that being said, if you need any further advice, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to help you. Try and include all the information in your first email of what you're looking at and what you're comparing it to do, but I'd be happy to help. I went with an Avid CNC. They used to be called CNC router parts for a few reasons. One, the biggest regret from my first CNC is growth. I outgrew it very quickly, and there was no way to change that. I was stuck with that machine. It was way too expensive. I way overpaid for what it was able to do. In fact, I think Avid has the machine that's even a foot wider for a third of the price, under $3,000. And that is phenomenal. And what was great about these Avids is you can grow with them. So you can start with the smallest machine they make, and you can make it into this over time. And just by adding pieces, it's like an adult erector set. So I really think that growth is important, and that you want rigidity. Extruded aluminum is really important. When you get into things like the X-Carve and the Shapilco, they are so flexible that you won't be able to do anything quickly. You can maybe take a 16th pass with a 1/4-inch end mill at a very slow speed, whereas you get into anything that runs on ball screw and aluminum extrusions, you get a massive, massive increase in performance. So for only a few bucks more, you get 300 times the machine. So it makes a massive difference, and I would not buy those cheap entry-level machines because you outgrow them almost the second you learn how to use them. So when it came to putting this together, it was super fun. Like I said, adult Legos. Mark and I put it together in about 3 or 4 days, and that wasn't even 8-hour days. And it was fun. It was like the instructions were super cool. We had a good time doing it, and it's fun to watch this massive machine sort of come together, and it was really cool. And you really learn so much about how the machine operates by putting it together. The electronics were super easy. They were plug and play. So we were able to, there wasn't any wiring that had to be done. It came with everything. It came with everything to attach the spoils board. I got the 3 horsepower spindle, but I believe they are going to have, and we are going to upgrade to an 8 horsepower spindle. So, I mean, when it comes to production, this is amazing, but for you, even if you get the 2x4 machine, you can get the 3 horsepower spindle that I have, and it is a beast. I mean, flattening this slab, we were taking 16th to 1/8 inch passes with a 2-inch fly cutter from Bits and Bits, and it was awesome. The spindle was cool to use because it really cranks. The spoils board was super, super fun. We got to use this really cool plastic nail gun that Avid sells that is specifically designed for CNCs, so it's really easy to put stuff where you want it and get it to stay. When we glued it, we got it to stay with these plastic nails that were super cool because you could just machine right through them because they're plastic. Really neat. I think it's Omer or something. Avid sells it. Put in these holes, these dog holes, which was a design by Jay Bates. I tailored it to my needs, but Jay came up with this brilliant solution. He's got some videos you should check out if you're getting into CNC. Brilliant solution, allows repeatability. So like when we put this slab on, sign, same thing. I was able to put it in a location with the dog holes, and then I could just type those coordinates into the computer. I didn't even have to check. I knew exactly where it was, how thick it was. So easy to set up. Mach 4 is the controller. Great open source CNC controller software. I think you get it with your Avid machine or you get a discount, I can't remember, but it's awesome. We have room in the front for a vertical spoils board like Jay did, so we can do joinery and things on the edge of boards. I was able to solve a problem that we had with the T-Track where it wouldn't go all the way to the end because of the soft limits of the machine. I solved that in Fusion using some skills in this class that I learned I'll talk about in a minute. All in all, it was easy to do and it was great. So as far as assembly goes and buying advice, get something you can grow with. And Avid, for example, is a great company. I've had great customer service. They've helped walk me through some stuff that I didn't quite get, and it was like got somebody on the phone right away and they solved it for me. So let's wrap this up by talking about some general advice, some skills I think you should pick up, and kind of my general perspective on where you should go from here if you're deciding that CNC might be a good option for you. So as far as where to start, of course you're going to be researching machines, but I think you should learn Fusion 360 as you're doing that, because it's going to take a couple weeks once you buy a machine for it to arrive. And knowing the software is easier than you think, but it's also highly valuable. And recently, so I've been using Fusion for 3 years, and I thought I was okay at it, but I knew I wasn't great. So I took a class from Brandon McCollum from Make or Break Shop, and I realized I was doing everything wrong. And it's the first Fusion class I've ever found for just woodworkers. He's a woodworker and an engineer. He did a phenomenal job. It's like less than 2 hours of instruction, but he breaks you, he starts you from the basics, builds you all the way up to doing really complex projects. And I would consider myself an advanced user now after taking that class. So I highly recommend you get into the software. It really is amazing because you don't have to switch programs to do your tool paths. And there's so much you can do with it as far as modeling goes and designing furniture. It helps save you money as far as like cut lists and material takeoffs. So it's a great thing to learn anyways, even if you're not getting a CNC Fusion, highly recommend it. I'll link that class down below. I think he said he'd do 30% off for you guys. So it'll be linked down below. But get a machine that you're not going to grow out of immediately. Make sure that you think a little bit bigger than what you know you're going to do. Think about what you could do and buy that machine so that way you don't learn it and grow out of it right away. And then of course, a machine like Avid you can grow with, you can make it bigger and bigger and bigger as your business grows. But either way, think of it as an investment, not an expense. Really, the highest rate of return for any tool in my shop has always been the CNCs. Anything else I've ever bought, always CNC's highest rate of return. So I think that's all I got for you guys. If you want to support the channel, head over to the Katz-Moses store, buy a dovetail jig, a stop blocker, a t-shirt. Thanks for watching. Stay safe in the shop. Have a wonderful day.